30-second warning.
100 miles and be fine.
We're at the 30-second warning.
Yep.
That would do it. Yeah, that's.
30 seconds.
Takes me a while to get up nowadays, so.
Call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mary Beth.
Nelson. Orison. Larson. Wunschel. Hanson.
Here.
Reed. Bulk.
Here.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item 4A is a motion to approve City Council minutes of March 6, 2023. B, licenses, premise update for Clay County Fairgrounds for event March 25, 2023, renewal of Class C retail alcohol license for the Prime Rib, renewal of Class C retail alcohol license for Wheezy's Lounge and Grill, and new Class C retail alcohol license for King's Steakhouse and Bar, subject to final approval by the Iowa ABD. C is a motion to approve a sewer refund of $1,647.65 to Bill Caskey, 317 West 18th Street. D is a motion to set a public hearing for the City of Spencer budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2024 for proposed property tax levy. Hearing date April 3, 2023, 6:30 p.m. Council Chambers, City Hall. He has a motion to approve grant of permanent easement, utility easement and temporary construction easement agreement for the North Y Gateway Improvement Project with Shine Family Trust. F is to approve a sewer easement machine purchase from McQueen Equipment, St. Paul, Minnesota for $93,002.59. This is a CIP item. G is a motion to approve solid waste truck tractor from North States International, Spencer, Iowa for $138,650, and this too is a CIP item. Motion made by Lauren.
Second.
Second by Donovan. Any discussion? Please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, consent agenda passes.
Mayor,
Yes.
just one quick, that North State should have read North Central International.
Oh, North
So-
Central? Okay. I think we can make a friendly amendment to that.
We updated it, but we
Okay.
must have printed these before we updated the name.
Oh, okay. All right. We have no public hearings, no old business. We'll go to item 7, new business. Item A. Before we go to item A and the resolution awarding contract for the North Y Gateway Improvement Project, Jim, would you like to talk about the bids? Yes, we do.
You're fine.
Yeah.
He just not talking.
Me? Am I not talking loud enough? So we did take bids on March 9th, and we received 4 pretty competitive bids for the project. I'm assuming that you all have the bid tabulation sheet. But in the end, the low bid was DeLoss Construction of Spencer. And for option A, which is the option we're recommending, his bid was $4,321,725.25, which was 88.13% of our estimate. Our estimate was at about $4.9 million. So a really favorable bid. The second bid was 4.34. The third bid was 4.45, and the fourth bid was 4.78. So right in there. I might have read a couple of those backwards, but in any case, real close competitive bid, so we were pleased with that. I've talked to DeLoss, and he's indicated that his team will consist of BD Construction, which is Adam DeLoss, and then Valley Contracting, Able Farm Drainage, and Clavinga, I think, is doing the lift station. So these are all contractors that we've worked for. Some of them are local or quasi-local. They're in our, 50-mile radius and have done work for us before. So we're pleased with that. We're pleased with the numbers. Like I did mention, we did take bids on two options in the paving section, and one option was continuous reinforcing steel like we normally do, a grid of rebar embedded in the pavement. And the second option was more like they build the highways, dowels and tie bars, where you see those bigger, smooth dowels, but they're only at the joints and not continuous through. And we've always had a good history with the continuous bars. We wanted to see if it was costing us more on a heavier pavement. This is an 8-inch pavement, so a little bit heavier, and heavier rebars than we normally use. But in the end, the continuous reinforcing was a little bit less cost than the tie bars for the low bidder anyway. And so that's the number you see before you, and that's what we're recommending, that we go with the continuous reinforcing option. If you want, we can talk about more numbers. Somebody said this should be a quick meeting. I said, yeah, but I got 3 pages of numbers in front of me. I'd like to talk about them, but no, I think all the numbers were good and right in there. We're under our projections, when we first started this project more than a year ago talking about it, so we're happy about that too. And I think you've got a good crew lined up. If we have favorable weather, we've given them all summer to complete Division 1. So Division 1 is, basically everything within the subdivision itself. Division 2 is the lift station, the force main, and the trunk water main. And then, so if you recall, we're building a lift station on the south end of this project, which would be 37th Street if there were there is a platted street there. There's no street built, but that's that first intersection you come to at the south. So from that, we go south all the way down to 24th Street through farm ground and around the back of the industrial park, the old industrial park off of 32nd. So it's 6,000 feet of force main and water main. That work we have scheduled to be completed by May 1st. So we had a little meeting this afternoon to look at quick start plans, and that's one of the things that we wanted to point out to them was for their target completion, don't do it before May 1st because we may not have a pump on it in the sanitary sewer. We'll have all the pipe laid, we'll have the street paved, but we won't have any place to pump it to. So that's the schedule. We'll have a pre-con. We'll set up we'll send contracts out to the contractor. We'll get bonds back. We'll have you approve those at your next meeting, and then we'll have a pre-con with the contractor. And after that, I'll know more about scheduling.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions for Jim?
All right, thank you.
Jim, I know that you're asking for option A, but I guess just real quick, and I appreciate your experience with the continuous rebar, but is the tie bar option in theory, I don't know if better is the right term, but I guess, is there a benefit to it as opposed to continuous rebar?
We don't think so in this situation. Perhaps at highway speeds with truck traffic, you get that impact loading where you need load transfer in those joints. There's a case where it's possible. It's the tie bar option or the dowel option is, it was kind of in lieu of continuous reinforcing. It's supposed to be cheaper. It does, provides a lot of load transfer at those joints and allows those joints to move a little more. But you don't have anything in the panel itself. And so they're moving all that steel to the joint. And we've had good luck with it. It helps too with trenches. That's mainly why we do it in town. if you do get some cracking, it holds the cracks together. So the pavements are, they're still cracked. Well, they're cracked in every joint, but there may be random cracks, and then that steel holds those cracks together, holds that pavement tight, and helps the rideability over time. So, yeah, I don't think we're giving up anything. In fact, in my mind, it's probably, the continuous is probably better in this situation, and we actually save a little bit of money, so.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay, so at this time, item 7A is a resolution awarding contract for a 2023 North Y Gateway Improvements Project to DeLoss Construction of Spencer, Iowa for $4,321,725.25.
So move.
Motion made by Lauren
I'll second it.
and seconded by Ron. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I think it'd be good for the citizens who are listening, saying, how are we gonna pay for this?
Yes.
And I think Brian has had that question asked enough times. So in 30 seconds, he can probably tell us what the answer to that is.
Yeah, our intention will be, starting in April, we'll start bond proceedings. This will all be payable through tax increment financing, using existing valuation through the city's TIF district. So that'll be the main financing source for all of this.
And in 30 seconds, you couldn't explain TIF financing, though, correct? Okay.
Nor do we want him to.
No. We just know that he can, and it's a good thing. Okay. Anyone else? Please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, resolution passes. Item B, at this time, on the advice of council, I would accept a motion to table item B. We aren't quite ready for it, so that will come up at the April 3rd meeting.
I'll make a motion to table.
Motion made by Bill,
I'll second it.
second by Lauren. Please vote by machine. Didn't have to, but yeah.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, motion passes. Item C, 7C, is a resolution to appoint members to the Capital Planning Committee, and this is part of the new capital improvement plan. And for the record, the members on this committee will include myself, City Manager Dan Gifford, Finance Director Brian Weave, Councilman Reed will be serving a one-year term, Councilman Balk 2 years. On the department heads, Jessica Wright will have a one-year term, and Sarah Beth Foxon will have a 2-year term. So I'd entertain a motion to. Motion made by Tom,
I'll second it.
second by Ron. Any discussion?
So what?
Yeah.
You explain what this one is now?
Sure. Brian can probably give you the better explanation, but this is the new committee. The Finance Committee has looked at this, and I think we talked about it in Committee of the Whole as well, with regard to the capital improvement plan. And this committee will now be responsible for the CIP projects. Brian, do you want to add anything to that? You were instrumental in bringing this forward.
Yeah, I mean, the committee is there to review and then make a final recommendation to the council to adopt the plan. And then it was the 3 standing members are the mayor, myself, and the manager. And then 1 council member and 1 department head rotate on and off each year. So that's why we have a staggering term the first time. But then once we get going, it's a 2-year term for each of those. And so kind of is department heads submit projects, the committee reviews them, ranks them, and then puts together a recommendation that brings forth to the council to fund projects. I think we reviewed it back in early February, had a committee of the whole meeting. I think you might have been absent, Donovan.
Yeah.
And then the council approved it, the new process back in February.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Orison, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, resolution passes. 7D is a motion to approve renewal of property and liability insurance policy with Iowa Communities Insurance Pool ICAP for $322,009 and designate member proxy, and that will be Finance Director Brian Weave. And I believe the alternate is Mark White, Public Works Director.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Bill. Second by Brian. And before we go to any discussion, Brian Weave, could you talk a little bit about the insurance and the surprise that we got with regard to the insurance?
Yeah, it was a little higher than we had thought, about 60, looking at my number, about 65,000 over last year's price. When we looked at it, the main drivers of that are the increase on the property side, not necessarily as much on the liability, although our general liability itself was about $10,000 higher. The auto coverage stayed about the same in that. Some of the things driving on the property side, that was the bulk of the increase. Two factors there. One, it's just been the natural disasters and the property loss across the state and the insurance pool itself. So doing that. The other thing is ICAP went through and added 10% to every facility's replacement cost, just I believe due to the rising costs of replacing structures. And so since all of our structures are insured at a replacement cost value, they increased that. So that was about a $9 million in valuation increase, which then also, when you divide that and add the property value, that increases the cost of the insurance. The other thing we are looking at is when our, what we call the umbrella or the excess liability. Currently, we have base policy of $2 million for almost every coverage, and then umbrella or excess liability of $4 million. Scott Simpson, our agent, and I, we've been talking is that we should probably start slowly increasing that excess liability up, so we have a total coverage when you combine the two of between 8 to 10 million. So we would look at increasing our excess from 4 million to 5 million this year, which adds about $1,400 to the policy, but that's amounts included in that 322,000. Out of that, so the wastewater treatment plant, sewer is a large chunk of the property side. In fact, when you look at the value overall of that $99 million worth of property, about 45 million of that is held at the treatment plant itself. So almost half of our property value is in one asset for the city. So the enterprise funds will reimburse and pay for their share. So not all of that 64,000 is coming out of insurance reserves. It's a proportionate share out. And then luckily, with the way the state has given us our budget timeline this year, we've been able to increase our estimate for fiscal year 24, because my fiscal year 24 estimate was still 20,000 less than what we're paying this year. So we've been able to adjust that for next year. Also in the finance committee, we talked about next year potentially looking at, we'd have to look at about December, exploring another company. Due to the trust, we have to give, I believe it's 60 days notice that we intend to look or leave. There's really one other major player in the state, and then one other insurer that has some municipal market, but there's, when we look at municipal insurance, it's the main two are EMC and then ICAP, so.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian or any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 8, engineers report. Jim?
Maybe just a quick reminder, we are taking bids on the tennis courts on March 30th, so that's a week from Thursday, and then we'll report those results back on the 3rd. So I'm hoping to get 4 bids on that job too, and I hope the numbers are as good as our last one. So
Yeah.
that's on the 30th. So that's all I have, unless you have
Have you
questions.
had much interest at all?
I have. I have some interest. We cast as wide a net as we could, and I've been talking to people. What I did find out is a lot of COVID money has apparently gone to park projects, and so the guys who do the acrylic surfacing are very busy and very far out. So that's the only downside, that there's a lot of this type of work out there this year.
Okay.
And that would be not just limited to post-tension, but any kind of court surface, so.
Hey, Jim, Jim.
Oh.
Yeah, don't leave
Yeah.
now.
Almost got away.
25th Street Southwest. I know there's still snow out in that area and stuff. Have you had any conversations with those contractors about, I'm sure they're looking as soon as they can, but
Yeah, it's just gotta, the frost's gotta get out and maybe surface dry up a little bit so they're not tearing things up
Right.
terribly. But yeah, I think that's their intent, is to start up
Okay.
back there.
Yeah.
That's Valley Contracting, so.
Valley, yeah, we didn't put any time, what time frame on that? The weather
Well,
depended.
it was a carryover, so I don't recall for sure when it is, but I assume it's a midsummer completion date. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you for the
Okay.
update.
Thanks, Jim. City managers report. Dan?
I got a couple things. Like Jim said earlier, staff got together and kind of went over the submitted plans for the Quick Star project, just to finalize some loose ends and to discuss some fine details of that. I'm not sure when we'll get the formal submittal from that, but we're at least moving towards that. Also had a Zoom call with a contractor out of Sioux Falls, that same one as last year, that applied for the workforce housing tax credits. He's looking to apply for that next phase of the Windcrest again. The next council meeting, you'll have a resolution to approve the share. And then the city share will be all in tax abatements. And I think on the, talking about financing the North Y project, since we're using TIF with existing revenues, there won't be an impact on property taxes. I think that's important to bring up. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, thank you. Under the mayor's report, just a few things. First of all, this Thursday at 6:30 in the council chambers, there will be a presentation and panel discussion with regard to sexting and internet safety. And this was originally scheduled in January, and due to weather, not surprisingly, it had to be postponed. But we have a panel of experts, very good people. We'll be talking about this. It's geared toward parents, grandparents, and guardians. Secondly, the mayor's March update will be on a Wednesday, March 29th at 12 o'clock, not 12:30. And my tentative guest, if he gets back to the state, I think he's enjoying some warm weather right now, will be Golf Course Superintendent Brian Moore. Thirdly, March is Women's History Month, and I think it's good for us to honor the women who, throughout our history, have made a significant impact on our nation, our state, and the community of Spencer. Fourthly, March 9th, we conducted here in City Council chambers an emergency simulation. It was put on by Eric Tigas from Clay County Emergency Relief. It was a simulation with regard to a flood incident. And again, I can't say enough about how our department heads handled themselves, city staff. And we also had the hospital involved. with this simulation and the chamber. And we're trying to utilize and get involved in these simulations, how we utilize volunteers on a very structured kind of basis as well. It was a great exercise. And then lastly, today in the city of Spencer was proclaimed Bob Rose Day at the last city council meeting. So just want to say that for all the people who attended Bob's birthday party out at the country club on Saturday, it was a great event, and I think Bob was genuinely touched. And again, thanks again to Bob for all he's done for the city and really showing all of us how not only to lead, but also to serve with dignity and humility. So that's all I have for tonight. Item 11, council and committee reports.
We have several meetings coming up. There's a Northwest Iowa League of Cities meeting over in Everly on Thursday, the 23rd. The committee of the whole meeting on the 27th, where we'll go over the facility plan. I'll be out of town, but I'll zoom in on that one. And some of the engineers on that project will also be zooming in, so it'll be a combo meeting. And we have a public safety committee meeting on the 3rd before the regular council meeting to go over the speed study school zone issue, and the regular council meeting on the 3rd.
And that committee of the whole meeting will probably be a bit lengthy.
What time does it start?
5:45 it has down here.
I thought we had 6, which one?
Oh,
Donovan?
yeah. One's,
Committee of the whole, what time does that one start?
oh, 6 o'clock.
6, yeah. Okay, thank you, Dan. Item 12, entertain a motion to approve the bills and claims. Motion made by Bill, second by Brian. Any discussion?
Gotta get in there.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 13, other business or opportunity to address the council. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Tom. Second by Tracy. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.
27 minutes. Good job, Mayor.